Make the most of Indian hemp seed. Sow it everywhere, George Washington implored. Why was Washington so keen on maximizing hemp seed production? To develop a home supply, Aldrich explained, so the colonies would not have to rely on another country, particularly England, for such critical substance. This was a national security issue. To escape from unbearable pressure, you need hashish, Nietzsche wrote. Nietzsche. The Sanskrit root word for Ganja meant knowledge. Ganja is another word for marijuana, and hashish is a form of marijuana that's pressed from the crystals. Portrayed as a magic carpet ride to a boundless beyond within, hashish had a mystique that fascinated the French reading public. Alexander Dumas, a notorious hashish eater, had the most popular writer of the day, introduced the green gem to thicken the plot of his classic novel, The Count of Monte Cristo. The enigmatic count, who calls himself Sinbad the Sailor, offers a morsel of green paste to a wary visitor. Taste this, Sinbad implores, and the boundaries of possibility disappear. The fields of infinite space open to you. You advance free in heart, free in mind. Taste the hashish, guest of mine, taste the hashish. Open your wings and fly into superhuman regions. And these are quotes and passages from Smoke Signals, a social history of marijuana, medical, recreational, and scientific. Tell the story of how one of humanity's oldest medicinal plants became one of its most misunderstood plants, and how science is finally catching up to what ancient cultures long understood. Pretty cool. And cannabis was criminalized largely through politics and misinformation, while modern science, especially the discovery of the endocannabinoid system, has revealed why this ancient medicinal plant interacts so deeply with human biology. It's fascinating. I chose this book because I'm a big fan of cannabis. Probably that's why. And it's always been both medicinal and recreational for me. And I was really interested in the spiritual part and the health part. It was a super long book. And I really skimmed through. I was looking for information that I wanted to. And I almost, going through this book, it was so long, I'm like, okay, I'm not sure if I want to do this project anymore, you know? Because it takes so long time to read the book. And then you have to work through the book. And then I have to create something digestible for you. And this makes me think I want to post more often. But anyway, another section I loved exploring cannabis as a sacred plant. Long before modern medicine, cultures across Africa, India, and the Americas used cannabis as cannabis in religious ceremonies, healing practices, childbirth, shamanic traditions. Some tribes even call it the herb that makes one speak. Reading this resonated with me because my own experience with the plant medicines, it reminded me that for much of history, these plants weren't viewed simply as recreational drugs. They were respected as medicines and spiritual tools. Maybe I've spoken about this in another one of these videos, in another episode, but like I've had many positive experiences with cannabis, in a sense. Like, I've gotten a full scholarship to Draper University because of cannabis, because cannabis kind of helped me negotiate, I would say. I remember there was a time I'm like, well, it helped me negotiate. They wanted to give a few weeks time, and I'm like, yeah, if you're not, then I'm gonna go to England instead. And I got a full scholarship in 4 days, which was really cool. And I remember even seeing Draper University was me going home after I had the joint, I turned on Bloomberg TV. It was like midnight. And I see this Tim Draper talking about his Draper University, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I filled up the application, and that's that. And also, the way I got in, like, it was the plant that kind of like told me in Sri Lanka, like, yeah, go find a girl you know from childhood. Imagine that. Yeah. The Tepehuan Indians in the Mexican highlands occasionally use cannabis in addition to peyote, which they called Rosa Maria, as a substitute for peyote cactus in religious rituals, indicative of its ability to stimulate collegiality and loquaciousness. Rosa Maria was known as the herb that makes one speak. Cannabis has a medicinal reputation in Africa that varies from region to region, cultivated as a source of fiber as well as for its remarkable resin. The versatile herb served as a remedy for a wide range of ailments, including dysentery, malaria, diarrhea, typhus, and rheumatism. A staple of African shamanism, cannabis and other consciousness-altering flora were revealed as sacred plants that provided access to hidden knowledge and curative powers. Soto women used marijuana to facilitate childbirth. The Soto children were fed ground up hemp seed paste while weaning. Black slaves seemed to handle the heat and field work better than when they smoked the fragrant herb. So the Portuguese plantation owners allowed them to grow cannabis between rows of sugar cane. And the Aboriginal peoples of the New World were familiar with an array of psychoactive plants, which they used for religious rites, spirit journeys, divination, and therapeutic purposes. Thus, it was an easy transition for Native Americans to adopt cannabis and include it in their ceremonies. Louis Armstrong and a strong work ethic. I'm reading these quotes that I saved from the book, and I'm thinking, it's just super funny. Well, at the same time I was reading this book, there's famous investors and entrepreneurs like Joe Lonsdale and so forth, saying that, you know, cannabis, and Chamat Palipatia was the other guy. He's like, yo, cannabis is bad for our culture. You should go have drink wine instead and have fun with your friends. I'm like, dude, this plant did. I really don't have a way to put it into words. It's a very special plant, I understand, and the information you sometimes get from that plant is just like, it's very fascinating, but also very kind of like connects you to one place. I'm gonna go through what Louis Armstrong said. Why the illegality, health. Yeah, Malcolm understood that marijuana had therapeutic history dating back thousands of years, and he believed the cannabinoids were a medicinal treasure trove waiting to be tapped. Dreher was surprised to discover after 1 month the babies of mothers who used ganja throughout pregnancy, whether nauseous or not, were actually healthier, more alert, and less fussy than 1-month-old infants whose mothers did not take cannabis. Test results for 1-month-old infants whose mothers also ingested ganja while breastfeeding were even more striking. Heavily exposed babies were more socially responsive and more automatically stable than babies not exposed to cannabis through their mother's milk. Alertness was higher. Motor and automatic systems were more robust. They were less irritable and less likely to demonstrate imbalance of tone, needed less examiner facilitation. That's really cool. Even I've noticed that there have been times when I've smoked cannabis and I've played volleyball, and my motor skills I just follow the ball better. I've always said, like, it enhances my life. Yeah. And the endocannabinoid system, which is really cool. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to read Smoke Signals was to understand why cannabis affects the human body in so many ways. For thousands of years, people knew cannabis could reduce pain, stimulate appetite, ease nausea, calm seizures, and change consciousness, but nobody knew how. That changed in the 1980s and early 1990s when scientists discovered something extraordinary. They found that the human body contains specialized cannabinoid receptors spread throughout the brain and body. Even more surprising, they discovered that we naturally produce our own cannabis-like molecules. Cannabis-like molecules in our own brain receptors. This led to the discovery of endocannabinoid system, a biological signaling network that helps regulate pain, mood, memory, sleep, appetite, immune function, stress, inflammation, reproduction, and many other essential processes. Our own natural cannabinoids were named anandamide, derived from the Sanskrit word ananda, meaning bliss. Yeah, and while I was reading the book, I'm like, reading the part why the plant became illegal. That really made me furious because there was this guy. His name was Anslinger, who was one of the main guys during the U.S. prohibition, pushing the U.S. prohibition on alcohol. And then at some point in his career, like the alcohol prohibition ended, his I don't know, his team or some, I think it was his team or his like department, they got sacked. And at the end of the day, it was all about money. I remember reading that part, I'm like, it's all about money at the end of the day. So this guy found that cannabis is his new target. And yeah, according to the book, cannabis didn't become illegal because of groundbreaking medicinal evidence. Instead, medical evidence. Instead, the campaign against marijuana accelerated in the 1930s when Harry Anslinger, head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, needed a new mission for his agency. Well, his agency was pretty much sacked because the prohibition ended on alcohol. Through sensational stories striking marijuana to violence and moral decay, public opinion shifted and prohibition followed. Yeah, so they started making up stories and manipulating people. They were saying like, well, you know, this plant makes white girls want to have sex with black men, and that made the public furious. They were lying that this plant would this was it made me furious. It made me furious in a sense that this plant has been used for thousands of years all over the world where it's accessible, and then comes a douchebag who's like, no, it's I'm gonna, and there are people who need it for medicine, you know. Yeah. Yeah, Louis Armstrong used to love cannabis. He smoked cannabis throughout most of his career and openly described it as medicine rather than a dangerous narcotic. Despite using it daily, he performed around 300 concerts a year, maintained extraordinary discipline, and became one of the greatest musicians in history. His history is a reminder that reality is more often nuanced than stereotypes. Imagine that. Imagine that. That's a big thing, you know. That's a great argument. That's a great argument for cannabis and productivity. There are people like, yeah, if you smoke cannabis, you don't do anything. Bob Marley was another guy who everybody knows, you know. Before cannabis became controversial, hemp was simply one of humanity's most useful crops. It was used to make rope, sails, clothing, paper, food, countless everyday products. George Washington even encouraged Americans to grow hemp, as I said in the beginning. Oh yeah, man. I'm a big fan of cannabis. I really like, just like talking about this, I'm thinking maybe I should make my mission to legalize cannabis here in Estonia. It would just be so good for people. It would be so good for the government. It would be extra income, extra tax money, extra tourism, and just it, and when I smoke cannabis, my workouts are better. I really get, when you smoke cannabis and you lift weights, there's just the focus and the attention on the body and the ability to pinpoint that focus is just on another level. Sex on cannabis is better than ever. Like, I remember reading somewhere in the book as well, like one of the guys, he's like, man, he was anti-cannabis, then some girlfriend of his convinced him, and he's like, I smoked cannabis and had the best sex ever. And that's true. You feel your body and your partner more. Yeah, it's a beautiful plant. It's a really beautiful plant, and I would be really happy to grow my own plant. Unfortunately, it's illegal here. I thought of putting it and growing it, and every time I feel like when you start thinking, yeah, I'm gonna grow it here, like I feel tense. I feel like I'm doing something illegal, and I don't want to do anything illegal that can kind of, well, smoking it here is illegal as well. It is, and I've smoked it a couple of times. But growing is criminal. Growing a plant from ground earth is a criminal. And that's just, maybe I should. Would be nice. But the thing is that the health benefits just are just amazing. And also it kind of opens the mind all the time. I kind of, I don't know why, but it allows me to go deeper into my psyche, kind of like I'm able to connect with my body more and just be in myself more, and the I that I am, my body and my consciousness and my mind is like in my heart. It feels like there's more space to navigate it in it. And it's the same thing like what Alexandre Dumas said, like, and the boundaries of possibility disappear. The fields of infinite space open to you. You advance free in heart, free in mind. Taste the hashish, guest of mine. Taste the hashish. Open your wings and fly into superhuman regions. It's like in Carlos Castañeda's the teachings of Don Juan. They're flying, and they're flying in their spirit. I don't know. I think this is pretty much it. I don't know what else to add. It's a thick book. It's almost 500 pages. And then I'm already kind of thinking maybe I should read this next. I've read it back in the day. They have this, could be cool. There's this level of consciousness, map of consciousness. You've probably seen it. People have seen it. And I've experienced pure consciousness and enlightenment. It's not that I always have it, but I remember when I mixed 6 plants together at a Portuguese ceremony. I had cannabis, magic mushrooms, peyote, ayahuasca, tobacco snuff, and a microdose of LSD. And that's when I kind of experienced non-duality. It's all one. I kind of just experience it every day. It's just I feel like I need to get better at this game. Also interested in reading Rework. I think this is cool. The Quran. Not that interesting reading it. This is a good book I read. Might read this. There's just all of these good books. Psychedelic Shamanism. Someone gifted this book to me, but it's in Estonian. Elu ühes maailmas. Yeah, pretty cool. Transurfing. No BS Guide to Maths and Physics. Not a bad book. I'm just thinking, how am I going to make... I don't know yet. And I'm not sure if I'm going to make these episodes. I do want to read these books, reread these books. And I think on a closing note, try cannabis. Either vape it, eat it, cook with it, smoke it, take tinctures. Yeah, it's my favorite plant. And I've noticed, like, I'm going to be open about it. I feel like in my life, this plant always gives me this kind of feminine energy that I never received from my mother. And kind of, I think my mother never received it from her mother. So my grandmother, and maybe my grandmother didn't receive it from her mother. It kind of feels like this, like they're not grounded. That's what I understood. They're not grounded. I understood that. This channel, this feminine channel, has kind of been blocked and closed and hurt from my family line. And this plant heals me. It gives me the feminine energy that I like. And once you kind of have this feminine energy, and I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it's the endocannabinoids kind of helping my receptors, gives them air to breathe in a sense, and that's true as well. But it's always been one of my favorite allies. It's also easy to misuse it. That's what I've noticed, is that sometimes I smoke too often, and I'm like, no. And then I don't. And then sometimes you find it again. Go to the streets, I'm like, you go to a place where people sometimes go and smoke, you're like, can I get some? And you get some, you know? That sucks. It would be so nice if it would be legal here, and if you could get high quality cannabis like you can get in Amsterdam, in California, in Spain. Spain has these. Yeah, that's pretty cool that Spain has all of these social clubs. And some of them are with really good quality. But at the end of the day now, it would be so awesome if you could grow your own plant, because it gives you your connection to earth. That's a dream of mine. I would want to do it. But I'd like to do it where it's legal. I don't know if I have the heart to do it illegally, you know. That's just illegal. And if you get caught with it for one plant, you're a criminal. Imagine that. In the US, in half of the states or something, growing the plant is legal. And if I grow it here in Estonia and get caught, I'd be a criminal, and I probably wouldn't get the US visa. Yeah, I mean, and just reading this book as well, injustice people have had to endure because of them growing the plant or needing the plant. It's a pain reliever. It takes the vomiting and nausea away from chemotherapy. It's a powerful plant. And I was reading, I remember yesterday, I'm thinking, yeah, one of the reasons why this plant is so powerful is because it's a spiritual energy thing. It's a divine plant. Oh man, I love this plant. And I've been thinking, I want to move somewhere where it could be legal. And I could grow it legally. And here in Liechtenstein you can go, in Europe, Spain. Anyway, people, as I said, the Sanskrit root word for ganja meant knowledge. To escape from unbearable pressure, you need hashish, Nietzsche said. All the best. Thank you for listening.